Let me tell you something that's going to make at least half of you close this video immediately. The woman who rejected you probably made the right call. Not because you're worthless, not because you're ugly, not because you don't deserve love. She made the right call because the version of you that stood in front of her that day was incomplete. And deep down, beneath all the hurt and the confusion and the late-night overthinking, you already know that. But instead of sitting with that uncomfortable truth and actually doing something about it, you're here, searching for a cheat code, looking for the magic combination of words that will reverse her decision, hoping someone on the internet will hand you a strategy to hack your way past her boundaries. And I get it, I really do. But what if rejection wasn't the end of your story? What if it was actually the beginning of the version of you that's actually worth choosing? Stay with me, because what I'm about to break down is going to challenge everything you've been told about winning someone back. Welcome to Love and Logic. I'm Olivia, and today we're dismantling a lie that has ruined more men than heartbreak ever could. There is a script that has been handed to men for generations. It lives in fairy tales. It hides inside love songs. It's the invisible backbone of every rom-com where the guy gets turned down, makes some grand gesture, and suddenly the woman melts into his arms like she was just waiting to be convinced. The script says this: if she says no, she doesn't really mean no. She means try harder. She means prove yourself. She means show me you're different. And I need you to hear me clearly when I say this. That narrative has created more stalkers than it has created lovers. It teaches men that a woman's rejection is just the opening round of a negotiation. It tells you that her no is a riddle, and if you're clever enough, patient enough, persistent enough, you'll crack the code and she'll finally surrender. Surrender. Think about that word. Is that really what you want? Someone who surrendered to your pressure? Someone who ran out of ways to say no? Because that is not a love story. That is a siege. And here's what makes this so dangerous. It sounds romantic. It feels noble. The guy who refuses to give up, he's supposed to be the hero, right? Wrong. The hero is the man who respects another human being's autonomy. The hero is the man who hears no and responds with dignity, not with a strategic plan to wear her down. But nobody wants to hear that, because dignity doesn't trend on social media. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a man named David. David meets a woman at a mutual friend's gathering. She's magnetic, intelligent. Her laugh does something to his chest that he can't explain. They talk for 2 hours. He gets her number. He goes home floating. He texts her the next day. She replies, polite but measured. He asks her to dinner. She declines, says she's not looking for anything right now. Now here's where it gets interesting. David doesn't hear what she actually said. His brain edits the sentence in real time. Not looking for anything right now becomes not looking for anything right now with anyone else. But if David plays this perfectly, she'll realize he's the exception. He never actually heard her. He heard his own ego translating her words into something more tolerable. So what does David do? He becomes her friend, shows up when she needs help moving apartments, remembers her coffee order, sends her thoughtful messages on hard days. He's not doing this because friendship is sacred to him. He's doing it because he believes every kind gesture is a deposit into an invisible account, and eventually he'll have enough credit saved up to purchase a relationship. 6 months later, she starts dating someone else. David is devastated. He calls her ungrateful. He tells his friend she used him. He says, I gave her everything and she chose some random guy instead. But here is the question nobody asks David. Did she ever ask you for any of that? Or did you volunteer for a role she never auditioned you for? and then resent her for not giving you the part. This is where most men get it dangerously wrong. Now let me take you behind the curtain, because what happens inside your mind after rejection is genuinely fascinating, and understanding it is the difference between moving forward and staying trapped. Your brain has a system called the reward prediction circuit. Every time you anticipate something pleasurable, a date, a kiss, her saying yes, your brain releases dopamine in advance. It's pre-celebrating. The party starts before the event even happens. When she says no, that dopamine doesn't just stop. It crashes violently. Your brain experiences her rejection with the same neurological signature as physical withdrawal. You are literally going through a form of chemical detox. That ache you feel in your chest is not just emotional, it is biochemical. But it gets worse. Your mind has another mechanism, something researchers call frustration attraction. When a reward you expected is suddenly blocked, your desire for it doesn't decrease, it intensifies. Your brain floods you with even more motivation to pursue the blocked reward, not because it's the right thing to do, but because your neurological wiring treats obstacles as signals to push harder. This is why rejection makes you want her more, not because she's special, not because the universe is sending you a sign, but because your brain is running a faulty program that evolved to help ancient humans persist through physical challenges, not to help modern men respect romantic boundaries. And then there is the deepest layer, one most psychology channels won't touch. If you grew up watching love be conditional, if the people who raised you made affection feel like something you had to earn, perform for, or chase, then her rejection doesn't register as one woman's preference. It registers as proof of your deepest fear, that you are fundamentally unlovable unless you fight for it. That is not her burden to carry. That is your wound to heal. Here's the first hard truth, and I need you to receive this without defensiveness. She did not reject your soul. She rejected your presentation. There is a massive difference. Maybe your energy was anxious. Maybe your conversation revealed that you hadn't developed real depth beyond surface-level interests. Maybe your body language screamed insecurity, while your words tried to project confidence. Maybe you approached her with an intensity that felt more like a transaction than a genuine human connection. Whatever it was, she responded to what was in front of her, not to the incredible person you might become, not to the potential buried somewhere inside you. She responded to the version that showed up that day. And instead of asking yourself, what did I present that wasn't compelling? You've been asking, how do I make her change her mind? One question leads to transformation. The other leads to manipulation. Which one are you choosing? Hard truth number 2, and this one is going to set the comment section on fire. Using friendship as a covert entry point into a relationship is not patience. It is betrayal disguised as kindness. I know, that word feels extreme, but sit with it for a moment. When you pretend to want friendship while secretly campaigning for romance, you are lying. Every single interaction carries a hidden agenda. Every late-night phone call, every favor, every "I'm here for you" is contaminated by an unspoken expectation. And the worst part? When she eventually discovers the truth, and she will, she doesn't feel loved. She feels deceived. She replays every warm moment you shared and realizes none of it was freely given. All of it had strings attached that she couldn't see. I've heard men say, but I genuinely became her friend. My feelings just grew over time. And in some rare, honest cases, that's true. But let's not pretend that most men who adopt the friendship approach after rejection are doing so with pure intentions. Most of them are running a long-term campaign, and they know it. Here is what I'll tell you instead. If you genuinely enjoy this woman's company as a friend, with zero expectation of it ever becoming romantic, then be her friend, truly. But if every kind act you perform comes with an invisible receipt you plan to cash in later, you're not her friend. You're a creditor wearing a costume. This is the one that separates the men who are ready to hear the truth from the ones who are going to click away angry. Your fixation on this woman is not about love. It is about control. When everything else in your life feels uncertain, your career, your finances, your sense of direction, the idea of winning her over gives you a project, a mission, something to focus on that makes you feel like you're doing something meaningful. Pursuing her becomes a substitute for pursuing yourself, and it feels productive. You're analyzing her social media, you're strategizing your next text, you're asking friends for intel, you're watching videos like this one, looking for the right move. But none of that is growth. That is avoidance wearing the mask of effort. Because here is the uncomfortable question. If you took all the mental energy you're spending on figuring her out and redirected it toward building a life that excites you, challenges you, and fulfills you, would you even still be thinking about her 6 months from now? For most of you, and I say this with 10 years of counseling experience behind me, the honest answer is no. This might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. What if her rejection was the most generous thing she could have done for you? Think about it. If she had said yes out of politeness or loneliness, or because you pressured her enough, you would have entered a relationship built on compromise from her side and desperation from yours. You would have spent the entire time performing, trying to keep someone who never fully chose you. You would have never confronted the parts of yourself that needed work because you were too busy maintaining a fragile connection that could shatter at any moment. Her no didn't destroy you. It redirected you. It forced you into a mirror you'd been avoiding. And the man staring back, the one you've been distracting yourself from, is the one who actually needs your attention. Not her, him. The rejection wasn't punishment. It was information. The only question is whether you're brave enough to use it.
People love saying, maybe it's just not the right time. And that statement is sometimes true, but almost never in the way people mean it. When most men say timing, they mean she's not ready yet, but eventually she will be, and I'll be standing right here when that happens. That is not understanding timing. That is planning an ambush. Real timing means this: you go away, not as a strategy, not as a game. You genuinely redirect your life towards something meaningful. You fill the crater that her rejection left with substance, purpose, and authentic growth. You become someone fundamentally different from the man who got turned down. And if, after months or years of genuine evolution, your paths cross again, she's not meeting the same person. She's meeting someone who didn't wait for her, someone who outgrew the need for her validation, someone who has become magnetic, not because he learned the right techniques, but because he did the real work. That is timing. It can't be manufactured. It can't be faked. And it certainly can't be forced by hanging around hoping she notices you've changed.
So what does the man who actually gets this right look like? First, he treats rejection as data, not as a death sentence. He doesn't spiral into self-hatred. He doesn't launch a revenge arc. He sits with the discomfort, examines it honestly, and asks, what can I learn from this that makes me better, not for her, but for my own life? Second, he protects her right to say no with the same energy he'd want someone to respect his boundaries. He does not campaign, negotiate, manipulate, or guilt. He understands that attraction cannot be argued into existence. You cannot debate someone into desiring you. Third, he invests in himself with the kind of urgency most men only reserve for pursuing women. His body, his mind, his emotional intelligence, his career, his friendships, his spiritual life. He becomes the kind of person that people, not just women, people, are naturally drawn toward because he radiates purpose instead of neediness. Fourth, he stays emotionally available without being emotionally fixated. He doesn't shut down, he doesn't become bitter, he doesn't declare that all women are the same. He keeps his heart open while simultaneously raising his standards for who gets access to it. And fifth, he trusts the process. He trusts that a man on the right path, doing the real work, building a real life, does not need to chase anyone. The right person will recognize what he's built and want to be part of it, voluntarily, enthusiastically, without an ounce of coercion. That is the energy that attracts lasting love. Not tricks, not persistence, not strategy, just genuine, undeniable substance. So here is my challenge to every man watching this right now. Delete the screenshots of her social media posts. Stop rehearsing what you'll say next time you accidentally run into her. Cancel the plan to text her something clever at just the right moment. Stop consuming content that teaches you how to override someone's free will and call it romance. And instead, answer one question with brutal, unfiltered honesty. Who am I when I'm not chasing someone's approval? If that question terrifies you, good. That fear is pointing directly at the work you've been avoiding. And that work is the single most attractive thing you will ever do. No woman, no matter how beautiful, how intelligent, how perfect she seems, can fill a void that only your own growth can close. And the sooner you stop outsourcing your self-worth to someone who never volunteered for that job, the sooner you become the man who doesn't need these videos anymore. Now, I already know what's about to happen in this comment section. Some of you are going to agree with every word. Some of you are going to tell me I'm wrong and that your persistence paid off and you're happily married to the woman who initially rejected you. And if that's genuinely your story, I want to hear it. Drop it below. But I also want you to answer this honestly. Did she choose you freely, or did she eventually just stop resisting? Because one of those is a love story, and the other is a surrender agreement. Tell me which one you're living. While you're down there, tell me which hard truth hit the hardest. I guarantee there's one line in this video that's going to live rent-free in your head for the next week. If this content made you think, even if it made you uncomfortable, smash that like button, subscribe to Love and Logic, and hit the notification bell, because we do not sugarcoat anything on this channel. We give you the truth, even when it burns. My name is Olivia. Thank you for being here. And remember, the best relationship you will ever build starts with the one you have with yourself. I'll see you in the next one.